There really is nothing like the buzz of television. Whether you're watching it or making it.
As soon as that red light goes on, it's game time.
He's like, I want to go home now.
But when things go wrong on telly, if it's live, there's no take two.
Oh my God!
Calma!
Anything can happen.
If it messes up, get on with it.
Since the golden days of TV, calamities have unfolded live before our very eyes.
Anything could go wrong. It sort of attracts danger.
Say, I have no idea what's going on there, and don't try and ignore it.
And over the years, the cameras have captured some truly memorable moments. From technical shambles, heart-stopping accidents,
This is live. We have no idea how he is.
sex malfunctions, bust-ups and brawls.
Then all hell breaks loose.
The whole nation was in double shock.
You have history happening in front of your eyes.
It looked like a night out in Newcastle. It was very exciting.
Animal attacks, calamitous cock-ups,
It's warts and all.
and unplanned audience participation. So strap yourselves in and get ready for the roller coaster ride of your life.
You've got to keep going. The show must go on.
Because this is when television goes horribly wrong. One of the hardest jobs a host will ever face is working on shopping TV.
Sometimes I think TV hosts need to be fitted with GPS or sat-nav, some kind of spatial awareness gadget to help us cope with walking and talking. And the one thing we forget to do is walk without banging into things.
You know, there's a lot around there. When you're so busy talking, you're so busy selling, and probably got someone in your ear as well, it is going to happen at some point. You are going to knock over a plasma screen. I don't really know what the returns policy is on something like that.
Sorry, you're never going to ask me to go on the show again. How did I miss that?
When you're trying to sell products to members of the public for several hours non-stop, the words you use are all important.
These presenters have to talk absolute fraff for hours on end during a live broadcast.
So any embellishment at all, what can you do but go for it?
So these jingly janglies are designed to make you feel special.
And I think, who would wear these shoes? A woman would wear these shoes. How would these shoes make a woman feel?
Maybe you're in a relationship with your husband, doesn't make you feel special. Well, do you know what? Blow him.
If he's not showing you the attention you deserve, blow him.
No!
I'm going to no, just say, if, no.
Howard, what are you doing? Where are you going with this? Clearly he knows he's in big trouble.
Do you know what I would say?
Once you make a gaffe like that, you have to try and move on quickly.
I'm going to get a pair of sandals that love me back.
Thankfully, there was a model, and I was turning to the model for reassurance.
Do you see what I mean, Kate?
I can see completely where you're coming from, yeah.
And her face was saying, I'm not digging you out of that hole.
You've already made a fool of yourself. I'm not going down with you, mate.
And it's not just when selling shoes that hosts have to be careful what they say.
This is Crafting Showcase. You don't have scripts, except whatever happens to come out of your mouth.
What could go wrong? Innocent show.
Hello, welcome to Create and Craft. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rachel, all part of our shafting.
But somehow she's found herself talking about shafting.
She just completely loses it because she knows her viewers are lovely, perhaps more mature ladies sitting at home. They're knitting. They're not thinking necessarily about shafting.
All part of our crafting showcase. That's what I meant to say.
Quite often, you start laughing, they're laughing in your ear, and there's no way to pull it back. It's wonderful therapy. When you're 10 minutes into a live television presentation, you get lulled into a false sense of security. You keep saying, this is going well. Oh, they're loving this.
But I went on YouTube and I tapped in, connect for me. Connected.
But what I wasn't expecting was that back flap to open so quickly and give me blowback. I didn't know what the heck had happened.
Whatever goes wrong, just keep talking.
That was like an elephant breaking wind.
And I could remember grabbing the chef's arm thinking, what's happening, save me, because I didn't know if it was going to blow me again.
That was like going to Bristol Zoo. the back flap opened.
And then starts talking about flaps.
And it's like an elephant breaking wind.
At the end of cooking.
You wouldn't get away with that on QVC, I can tell you.
Sometimes on shopping TV, it's the interaction between hosts that goes horribly wrong.
We have got Peter Simon coming up. Look at you. Oh!
Peter Simon within TV shopping circles is a legend.
He wanders in and he's got his vacuum.
Hello, Kieran.
Hello.
And clocks Kieran. Oh, hello, ding dong. Ha!
I'd shake your hand, but I've got some cream all over it in a minute.
You've got damn.
Now, Peter Simon doesn't even have to respond verbally to this. His face is pure innuendo before he even speaks.
He becomes Larry Grayson. He does everything except lift his leg and cock it.
Have you got wet hands, Kieran?
Dad's gone red.
Poor Kieran and his wet hands.
Treat him gently, Peter.
We were being really gentle with them, and then
Gently? Oh! Diamond in the rough, ladies. Look at him.
As it progresses, Peter Simon is getting more and more hormonal and more emotional.
Little Orlando Bloom. Right?
Peter, we
Yeah.
were being really... Look how gentle I was being.
Gentle.
I was.
Look at the action of this Hoover.
I know. Look at the Hoover. Look at the Hoover. Look at the Hoover.
Once he gets hold of a train of thought, he's like a dog with a bone.
It's innuendo after innuendo after innuendo.
How big are you?
I'm 6 foot tall.
He thought this was the funniest thing ever.
Everyone's laughing, but they're also like, please stop now.
That poor young man.
I've got it in my hand. I've got it in my hand, Kieran. I've got it in my hand.
And he just keeps going, talking about the motion of his Hoover.
Hoover, we're going to deep clean.
It's not even plugged in. It's classic.
It's New Jersey, USA, and we're off to the races. And TV hosts commentating on a horse race must have a good eye for detail. Just ask Monmouth Park's Larry Colmus.
They're all in line.
Wouldn't it be great to commentate on a horse race?
You always sort of embellish the pictures. You're sort of leading people through the shot.
With horse racing, because actually it is a very quick sport, and you're always looking for your horse if you've bet on a horse. So you need a commentator to know exactly what's going on.
They're off.
And it all starts normally enough. You see the horses come out of the gate.
And they're tearing down the course.
Twisted Heart broke well on the inside and goes out to the front. There goes Smithwick to the outside, and these two are away the best. They're followed by Ride and Shotgun, Deep Run Dune to the outside, and Lexington Ray as they make their way in to the clubhouse turn. And that's where they are, the clubhouse turn.
No sooner have they gone around the corner, straight into dense fog.
This whole race has gone into like this pit of fog.
And then we go on from there, but the quarter was 24 2/5 seconds.
The commentary box is just left absolutely dumbfounded and don't have anything to say. They can't see anything. There's nothing to say. It's just all incredibly awkward.
And the field continues down the backstretch, and Smithwick and Twisted Heart, they're going at it up front.
The amazing thing is the commentator goes on commentating.
Deep Run Dune is right there, Ride and Shotgun just behind them.
Oh, hold on a minute. Maybe he can see something that we can't, and you're really going with it.
We're thinking, has he got X-ray vision?
Is he sat somewhere different?
Does he have another camera? He must have the most amazing binoculars known to mankind.
Smithwick and Twisted Heart, they're going at it up front. Deep Run Dune is right there, Ride and Shotgun just behind them. And it's quite a scramble. I just made all that up. I can't see anything.
He was making it up.
I loved it.
You couldn't make it up.
Get in.
I can't see anything. Sounded good, though.
It was a real opportunity, wasn't it, to show his broadcasting imagination.
He could have made it the most dramatic horse race in the world.
Jockeys jumped on that other horse's back. There's two of them on one horse.
That horse is falling over that horse.
He could have made up ridiculous things. One of them stopped and kissed a girl, jumped back on the horse, and is still in third place.
And toward the 8th pole, and we have horses.
It's a wonderful moment when you see a broadcaster just admit that he's clueless.
Love the fog today.
It'd be lovely if weathermen just went, it's all guesswork, this.
South America now and Ecuador, a country that's had its fair share of internal strife. And in 2010, an attempted rebellion hit the headlines. Covering events on Ecuador's main TV station Ecuavisa is current affairs programme Contacto Directo. In the studio, experienced host Alfredo Pinagote kicks off a discussion with Fidel Araujo, leader of the opposition party Sociedad Patriótica.
There's Alfredo and Fidel having a heated debate.
Golpe de estado flagrante. It's a two-shot. One guy's probably in a studio, could be 100 miles away for all we know. It might be in the next building, could be in another country.
When you're doing a double header, sometimes you can't see the other person, you've just got their voice, and you're relying on the banter with the other presenter and the other host.
Golpe de estado flagrante.
Alfredo, the presenter, asks some questions. His guest begins to reply.
Y por eso es que el doble discurso de los organismos internacionales.
Boom! Disappears out of shot.
It was almost like a Wile E. Coyote moment. He went, there's no chair there. Bang!
Things like that are always funny.
He just sort of slides off his chair.
Or maybe he saw something down there, I don't know. Because he seems to look down, but I think he knows the chair's going to...
De los organismos internacionales. En esa época, el secretario...
Instead of like making any comment or any acknowledgement that this happened, we lose him. We'll just single focus on this one man.
No hizo nada con esta carta, letra muerta.
All the viewers want to see is the other shot.
Where's Alfredo gone? Is he all right? What's going to happen? Are they bringing in an ambulance?
We want to see the guy being helped up, looking shaken, trying to get his tie straight, going, what happened? Why is the chair broken? How heavy am I? You know.
Otros poderes, como se está dando en Venezuela, como se da aquí en Ecuador.
The next frame, he's there again, pops up.
Did I just imagine that, or did that man just slide off his chair?
Just continues as if nothing has happened.
And he sort of still has a wobble. It still has a chance he could go any second anyway. I think he's sitting on a member of the crew. I think they've got no chairs, and he's gone, I forgot to put a chair down. And the crew are there on all fours, and he's going, don't move.
In the old days, award shows that focused just on beauty were quite calm and demure affairs. But in Brazil, they really know how to host them. And they aren't just for women.
Back in 2009, it was the Miss Gay Awards.
Just a beautiful event that should be celebrated more.
The competition to find Miss Gay Brazil features the most wonderful drag queens from every state in Brazil. And the competition is stiff.
The whole idea of these awards is that you look just so fabulous, darling.
The winner was the ever-so-fabulous Ava Simoes.
Miss Brazil is looking absolutely gorgeous. Fully made up, coiffed hair, beautiful with the big crown balanced on top.
Buzzing with her newfound success.
Straight after the result, Miss Brazil gave a live TV interview.
Feliz com peruca ou sem peruca, eu sou a Miss Brasil.
Miss Brazil was stood there having her interview after she'd just been crowned the Queen.
And you just see a fist come in and drag the wig off. The weave is gone.
And the culprit, a rather jealous Miss Sao Paulo, who believes she should be the one in the crown.
Yes, bitch, I'm taking that.
That is such a revenge, isn't it? Going for the weave is a low blow.
You would be furious. You never snatch off somebody's wig. Never, especially not in public. What? Like she didn't get beat up.
If you want the crown so bad, you'll take the hair as well. Why not? Take the beauty from the Queen.
I thought, yes, that's what it feels like when you lose. Why are we not allowed to show what it really feels like?
It's funny to watch, but you never do that. Never, 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 never.
And chaos ensues all round.
There's a full-on fight with other contestants getting involved, screaming for the crown. It was Dynasty, it was Dallas, it was everything all rolled into one, joyful.
After little Miss Sassy came over and ripped off her wig, she was left feeling really embarrassed, not feeling fabulous now. I mean, her hair's over there on the floor, being thrown into the fight with her crown. Poor thing, she must have been horrified.
It was a good scrap after that one. It was like a scouse wedding.
I kind of thought, well, that was a Brazilian too far.
With hours of live television to fill, chances are a TV host will be asked to do the bizarrest of things, and Swedish telly is no different.
There's a Swedish equivalent of what must be like, this morning.
And they've obviously got all these different things. Somebody's cooking in the kitchen, they're speaking about champagne.
And you've got a male and female presenter and some kind of expert who's teaching them how you can take the cork out of a bottle of champagne using a sharp object.
Now, there's many ways to open a bottle of champagne. The main one is with a sabre.
Ooh, this looks like fun. This is sabrage, a ceremonial technique of chopping the top off a champagne bottle with a sabre, like you do. Made popular by Napoleon's cavalry celebrating after a hard day's battle.
Why would you? Why not just go pop?
I think every magazine show, whatever country you're in, they pick up on the most bizarre subjects.
While the man is given what looks like the sword of Gryffindor, this great long knife.
OK, brilliant. But then you've got the female presenter with like an ice skate.
I'm not sure a skate's the same as a sword.
Where the ice skate came from, I don't know. I've been in many kitchens around the world and I've never found an ice skate in the kitchen.
Could you go and find my ice skates? That's brilliant. Thanks, love.
Why?
I think the writers get to the end of the night and they're like, I don't know, champagne corks. Why don't we open a champagne cork with an ice skate on the presenter's hand? That's a brilliant idea, Brian. That's amazing. We'll do that in the morning.
Det svåra är att... Precis. Och försök få ett bra grepp här nu. Att du håller flaskan lite utifrån dig. Så lite från kroppen.
You just think, no, I don't really know. Please, don't, stop that. Don't do it. Stop it.
Och sen så en vinkel på den. Det här går inte alls som jag hade tänkt och hoppat.
She's trying to get that cork note. She's trying again and she's trying again and the ice skate is doing nothing.
Ser du? Anders, jag sätter mitt hopp.
I've done dancing on ice and those skates are nasty. They can be really super sharp, And so I was watching this with my eyes closed thinking any moment now you're just going to chop someone's head off.
She's hacking away at this thing and it's not happening for her. It's just not happening.
She just wasn't getting the angle right.
Meanwhile, Sword of Gryffindor man...
Done.
My wife has done it with a sabre. It's easy. But a skating boot?
You kind of think, OK, well, that's it then. So he's got his bottle open. But of course, she's a bit miffed.
I love the fact that she didn't give in. And it was almost like it was a mission for her then. She was going to do it.
Ska du prova med den här istället? Ja, det gör jag. Ja, och akta den här korken.
Get rid of the skate. Give me that sword.
But she's done it with a venom now, hasn't she?
Yay! She just hacks the middle of the bottle.
She's gone in too deep.
She manages to cut the bottle virtually in half.
It's not elegant, is it? The end product is not elegant.
Half the bottle of champagne's gone. It'd be undrinkable. There'd be so much glass in it, who'd want to drink that?
Bit of a waste of champagne, personally. I stick to the old.
If this was supposed to demonstrate how easy it is and safe to open a bottle of champagne with a thought, it does precisely the opposite, because anybody who's ever thought of doing that would now not do that, because it's clear it's a very dangerous manoeuvre.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try that trick.
For outside news broadcasts, hosts are often sent into the heart of dangerous situations. Nowadays, almost everyone has a camera phone in their pocket, and professionals are under more and more pressure to get to the heart of the story.
These days, we're quite used to members of the public doing a lot of reporting for the media. Out comes the mobile phone and they capture the image of something crashing, something blowing up.
As a reporter, you've got to top that footage. There is absolutely no point in you making a report about something if you haven't got really good pictures to go with it. And one way to get that is to stand very close to what's happening.
Your boss doesn't send you to a flooded plane or a place that's been devastated by a tornado to see you in the lobby of the hotel saying, "It's terrible here." It's your job to put yourself in it, right in front of it, and with it all around you.
In Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2009, an electrical fire sparked off in a carpentry workshop and raged through the building. One news host was sent to report on the fire as families from nearby houses were evacuated.
This young woman reporter, she's risking life and limb to stand in front of this blazing building which could topple down at any moment. You think, what a brave woman she is.
De novo. De acordo com testemunhas, o fogo
bang!
She's out of there. She moves so fast.
That must have been the biggest shock ever for that poor woman.
You know, reporters are always making out how tough they are, aren't they? They're always putting themselves in a dangerous situation. There's a fire going on, and there's an explosion. Runs away.
She was quite lucky not to be injured.
It just exposes that reporters, they are just showbiz lovies like the rest of us, pretending to be tough.
If I was reporting from somewhere and there was a massive fire or just mayhem, and then suddenly you hear an explosion, I mean, you don't need to ask me twice. I'm gone.
Who wouldn't jump with a bang like that?
That gives her a taste of what it must be like to be a war correspondent, and I suspect her name will not be on the list of people that are going forward for that.
Don't play tough unless you can actually be tough. Stand there, take the shrapnel from the explosion and don't flinch.
The unexpected explosion terrified the poor host. Luckily, there were no injuries in the blaze, except perhaps for the host's pride. When a news reporter is trying to get to the bottom of a story, they often have to be incredibly persistent. Brazilian City Council President Antonio Luiz is being pursued by one reporter with questions about the country's national healthcare system.
Here we see a reporter trying to get an interview with a prominent politician. He wants to grill him on the poor state of hospital facilities.
The best reporters are persistent. They want that story.
That bit of information that can make you stand out.
All you can see is this reporter coming from the rear, sort of pawing at him and sort of...
Quer falar não sobre a saúde? O que o senhor tem feito a respeito da saúde para melhorar?
The guy just doesn't want to speak. It's fairly obvious from the very start. He turns his back, he tries to walk away.
Usually you just get no comment or they dart into a car.
The right honourable gentleman refuses to comment, thank you very much, and walk off into his house.
Saúde. Sim, a saúde de Caxias. Senhor médico, senhor presidente da Câmara Municipal, o que você tem feito para melhoria?
But here's a guy so persistent.
He's literally like a pit bull grabbing hold of this guy's arse.
You will give us this information, you will give us this answer.
And he follows him round for ages.
There's a guy in a yellow top that tries to intervene and sort of says, no questions. But he doesn't take the hint.
Chasing him through the rooms, managing to get around the heavy, the guy who's bodyguarding him, desperately trying to get the man to answer his questions, so focused.
You can't be seen on camera to give up. So there was added pressure on that reporter to get some kind of answer, even some kind of reaction out of him.
Vai falar não, presidente?
He just keeps going on and on.
Clearly sort of getting on his nerves.
His boss would have said, go back again until you get the answer, go back again until you get the answer.
Você não vai falar não? Não empurro não. Eu tô fazendo meu trabalho. Você não vai falar não?
Eu não vou lhe acariciar.
There's a very fine line between being a dogged reporter and just being irritating.
And this is where you start to cross the line.
A população, presidente, tem reclamado.
The politician just spins round and absolutely lamps him.
Push! Straight in the face.
To be honest, I would have punched him as well.
Tem reclamado.
And doesn't just punch him, and he really goes for it. And I feel sorry for the reporter, because he was just doing his job.
I don't care if you're Mother Teresa or whether you're Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everyone has a breaking point.
He wanted a scoop. The last thing that any of us expected was that he'd get a punch in the face.
Get the story, don't get knocked out.
I'm a little bit on the fence, because I'm a little bit like, good.
On the plus side, silver lining, at least now he'll get to check out those hospital facilities firsthand.
We're in Sao Paulo, Brazil, at the Chopeada Festival, celebrating the region's history of the horse and cattle trade. Think Notting Hill with cowboys.
South Americans, they love their festivals.
And one of the highlights is a mule race.
A mule race, which of course is everybody's favourite Sunday afternoon out.
If you're making, in Brazil, or anywhere for that matter, a popular current affairs programme to show what's happening in the country, this big mule festival, this mule event with mules everywhere, cowboys, rancheros, whatever they call them, are racing up and down everywhere, that's where you want to be.
Local news reporter Tiago Zogby was the man on the ground, desperate to get right in the thick of the action.
Now here's a commentator who, instead of sitting in the stands and commentating, wants to be on the track.
This guy is really wanting to prove himself. I don't know if he was on a promotion or just trying to angle for a better slot. Maybe he wasn't keen covering the mule race, was looked to escalate his career quite quickly. But he's decided to get in amongst it.
We need to have a reporter on the spot giving us the news of all the action. Let's get him right there. In fact, let's not get him in the stands. Let's get him right on the track.
The mules in the background there, that's good for the shot. You've got the track. It's all kind of there, it's looking good.
You've got a combination of very dangerous elements. You've got it's live, you've got a race, so you need to be in the right position to catch people flashing along behind you, and then you've got animals. So this mule race in Brazil was an accident waiting to happen.
Bang! Ooh! Wallop! It's a shocker.
Because it's not a little tap, it's a full-on knock-monoggin on the floor. He's literally poleaxed.
I always thought donkeys were quite slow. And they're quick.
They can reach up to 35 miles an hour, so I think once the race starts, I think you want to get off the track.
You've got to be wary of animals all the time, especially horses and mules.
A bit of a schoolboy error to turn your back onto the action, really. You know, just keep one eye, maybe sideways. That's the secret, so that you've got one eye there and one eye there, just so that you can dodge if you really have to.
Never put your back to a mule, ever.
The person I really admire is the cameraman, because he sees the mule probably is about to hit the reporter, and he still is going, this is gonna be great.
There's a sort of kerfuffle, which is a terrible moment. You realise that obviously the cameraman and the presenter have both been mowed down by this mule.
It's like a train. You can't stop them.
Although Tiago was steamrolled back in 2005, his unfortunate meeting with the mule is still a YouTube favourite. Amazingly, he lived to tell the tale and escaped with a few hoof prints down his back and a large dent in his ego. But it could have been a whole lot worse.
He was just caught in the right position that pushed him over. If it had been on the back, it broke his back.
It's quite a relief to see that later on he goes to the studio and he's okay, because you really do think something terrible's happened to him.
Would you like to be queen for a day?
On now to the razzle-dazzle world of game shows. We may think that modern reality shows have honed the questionable art of exploiting a sob story, but it was in America in the early 50s where human misery was first served up for TV entertainment on the popular NBC game show Queen for a Day.
Of course, these were very, very different days when Queen for a Day was being made.
Welcome once again to Queen for a Day.
In those days, very much a male-dominated lifestyle generally. You know, the woman was at home, you know, with a little penny dress, looking after kids, cooking, all that sort of malarkey. And it was totally represented in the way game shows were pushed in those days.
The crown is ready, so is the throne, so are we. And all we have to do is sort of have the ladies get up here, tell us what they want.
Basically, the whole 45 minutes is this one guy, Jack Bailey, interviewing women who are down on their luck and saying, well, if you're voted Queen for the Day, what would you like as your prize?
That's precisely why we're here.
It takes a lot of sensitivity to do a game show like that. And you need to have a sensitive host.
Boo!
Well, they don't on this. Jack Bailey looks like a poor Walt Disney impersonator. And he is full of himself.
And Jack Bailey's kind of leaning over it. He's really menacing.
Speak up a little louder.
Yes.
It's actually really quite uncomfortable to watch. This little frightened woman, you're really feeling sorry for her.
See, I better not jiggle you too hard either, had I?
These women are so sort of timid. They're like rabbits in the headlights.
They look so desperate, so vulnerable.
Did you get a good big deep breath? Well, you look so cute and shaky, don't worry about a thing. Is that new dress? It looks wonderful.
Nowadays, if somebody said to you, you know, Zoe, you can be queen for a day, what would you like? And I'd be like, I want to be dipped in gold, I want a Bentley, I want a unicorn.
Do you have any children, Miss Lacey?
Yes, I do.
How many do you have?
4.
I want £1 million, I want a Fabergé egg. Those days, far more modest requirements if they were queen for the day.
Dorothy, what do you want if you're queen for a day?
Well, I'd like to have material to build 2 sets of bunk beds and 4 mattresses.
Now, these people are saying things like, well, I would just like some materials to make bunk beds for my children.
What are you hoping to win? Wood. I want to win wood.
You're our queen. We'll bunk bed your trailer. We'll put the mattresses on it, and the rest is up to you, okay?
Thank you.
One of the tragedies about a show like this is you're making entertainment out of people's misery. You're saying to people, come and beg for whatever you need for your children, which is awful. It's a terrible thing to do.
Now, what was the first thing you had on your card that you wanted?
A gurney, a hospital gurney.
A hospital gurney.
There's something rather sad and deeply disturbing about the human spirit to have this judged show about whose story is more tragic than the other.
Tell me what the gurney is for sure.
The boy had polio 4 years ago.
I see.
And he had 2 operations on his spine last November.
Boy.
Woman wanted a hospital gurney for her son who had polio. I mean, you couldn't make it up. It's like Angela's ashes.
He's been home since December. Good. In a full cast. He isn't allowed to leave his bed.
Uh-huh.
I can't be sat up.
I see.
If we had a gurney, I could take him out to get some air.
Oh, God, this show is so deeply sad.
I lost my husband in November.
Oh, my
Through a
goodness.
hunting accident. He was out hunting, and his buddy accidentally shot him.
It's like the most heartbreaking show of all time.
I think that game show would have been better named if they just called it Who's Got the Shittiest Life?
What do you want as your queen for a day? What can we do to help you?
Well, I'd like to go to school to learn a trade, either be a beautician or anything. It's so hard to find a job now. I can't get a job, and I had no high school education, and it's rough.
Every story was actually very moving. It was like, oh my goodness me.
Now, we're going to have the voting by the people in the audience, and we'll have it right now. Number 1 was Mrs. Dorothy Lacey.
And then at the end of it, what happens is they have a clapometer.
A studio audience will clap at who they think is the most deserving.
Number 2.
It's just bizarre.
Number 3.
Whoever gets the loudest clap is crowned queen for the day.
5. Number 3. Number 3.
And then at the end, the woman who gets the biggest clap on the clapometer is made to stand like a beauty queen, holding her flowers with a tiara on.
But it's not just beauty school classes our queen receives. Oh no, she'll be given every modern gadget a woman needs to keep her home running smoothly.
Your Majesty, you'll save both time and labor when it comes to ironing with this handy RCA Whirlpool automatic ironer. Well, one of the handiest appliances any home can have is a clothes dryer, and you have...
And so many of the things that were traditionally so 1950s women in the kitchen.
So you can continue the years, chains around your ankles, linked to the kitchen sink.
This is the 1958 tap of the most modern range yet developed.
So what about the other women who've just poured their hearts out and made themselves exposed to everybody? This situation that I'm in isn't bad enough.
The rest of them get sent back onto the trailer park, back to their problems.
Sorry, you didn't win anything. Bye-bye.
Jack Daly on camera 2 saying we wish we could make
It just seems really harsh and callous to do that, sort of using people's misery to entertain everybody else.
Could you make TV out of this today? I don't know.
Game shows were an appointment to view for most American families in the 1950s, and although dubbed the golden age of television, to the public, appearing on TV was an unknown quantity.
People didn't know how to treat television. It was a new medium for a lot of people, especially the people going on there. So a lot of 50s TV was very, very awkward.
And they didn't come more awkward than this.
Do you trust your wife?
Well, do you? Do you trust your wife?
The show is called Do You Trust Your Wife?, where a man gets to either answer a question himself or defer to his wife.
So we all know where we stand on that one, don't we? I was a bit sexist.
Couples would go on the show and the man would decide who would answer a series of questions.
And the subject of your first question is house and garden. Now, do you trust yourself or do you trust your wife?
I trust my wife.
Do you trust you or your wife to answer this question? And the man would have to think about it and go, I trust me. Or if it was something about cooking or having 19 babies, I trust my wife.
Do You Trust Your Wife had an unusual host, Edgar Bergen, an established comedian and entertainer from the 30s and 40s, who bizarrely had made his name as a ventriloquist on the radio.
You've got these really macabre dolls who opened the show.
It seemed like I was on hallucinogenic drugs, frankly, when I was watching it.
The host, he's actually a ventriloquist, and a really bad one.
Once a man tried to peek in my window.
Yes.
Oh, it was terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
You're just a person that can move your hands and move your mouth at the same time, and most people can do that.
Ventriloquist dummies are always evil, spooky, possessed. And to be asked by a dummy, do you trust your wife? And to take it seriously and have to answer back. That sounds like a good idea for a horror story, not a quiz show.
As a woman, it doesn't get much worse than being publicly belittled on a sexist game show by a ropey-looking puppet.
Yes. Well, welcome to our show.
Unless, of course, you reveal something deeply personal and borderline inappropriate about yourself. But you wouldn't do that, would you?
Jean, how long have you been married?
11 years.
11 years, I see. 11 years. And how old were you when you got married?
And Johnny was 14 and I was 15.
Well...
I know.
Where do you go with that in conversation? Very awkward.
Think of that. She was 15 and he was 14. Well...
I mean, I watched this with my mouth open.
This couple who'd been married since they were 15 and 14, which in some states at the time would have been, clearly legal. But even then, I think the audience were surprised by it.
But it all depends. If you were in Tennessee, that would have been fine. Tennessee in the 50s, you could marry a dog.
Poor fellow. Yeah. He was a victim of a scheming older woman.
I think this is where the dummy came into its own.
Gee, what some guys won't do to get out of school.
Yeah. Getting married when you're not old enough to fully go on Facebook legally isn't great.
OK. So you've given away your most intimate personal details to millions of viewers. At least things can't get any more awkward.
Do you have any children?
Yes, we have 7 children.
And you've been married how long, did you say?
Married 11 years.
11 years.
And we had all 7 children by the time we were 22 years old.
And you can hear the audience going, there's just this absolute intake of breath from everybody.
And you did have to do a little bit of maths on that one. I was thinking, how many twins have you got then?
All she's done is she's been a baby machine. 1 kid a year. That's all they were doing, producing kids.
We haven't had a visit from the stork in the last 3 years.
He must be resting. You must be hiding. Yeah.
It's really quite shocking, and you could see they didn't really know how to handle it.
At that point, I would have called social services.
Are you planning on having any more children?
Oh, yes, we're going to make it an even dozen.
Make it an even dozen, I see.
Who are you trying to get even with?
No.
TV hosts are used to broadcasting live. In the 1950s, it wasn't just the shows that were broadcast live. It was the commercials as well, so they too needed a host.
I don't watch commercials now. I will always flick around. And you would watch if they were live and something could go wrong.
These live TV commercials were a precursor to shopping telly as we know it today.
It's the black and white days. It's live. You can't do things again.
Can you imagine the Andrex puppy? Speed everywhere. Brilliant.
One such commercial was hosted by veteran newscaster of the 1950s, John Cameron Swayze.
It's America. It's a big, big thing. 30 seconds set aside for a Timex watch.
This is a powerful outboard motor that our engineers have especially set up in our studio in order to make possible this live demonstration. We've attached my Timex directly to the propeller blade, as you see here.
So this guy, he's bragging about Timex.
And we're going to prove that it's waterproof.
He straps the watch onto the propeller.
Now we'll submerge it in the tank. And all right, let's go.
It's Timex. It's a big company. It goes round and round and round at 4,000 RPM. Why would you put a watch on a propeller to test it? It's such a really bizarre thing to do. Why would you do that?
In what part of your life would you have your wrist revolving at hundreds of times a second?
I don't even think that an Olympic swimmer would really got it like that.
It's meant to be showing how magnificently it performs underwater and bears the stress of the rotation.
Well, just imagine. The Timex watch on that propeller, let's lift her out, has been slashed through the water on that blade to the tune of 4,500 revolutions per minute.
The reveal, the big moment, the money shot, as they call it in shopping TV.
What a test for a waterproof, shock-resistant watch. It was such a test that it threw the watch off in the tank.
And the watch has disappeared.
The watch is just floating somewhere at the bottom of the tank, isn't it?
You really feel for this guy. It's a total fiasco.
It was such a test that it threw the watch off in the tank, and I'm very sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
He's really embarrassed.
But you're a TV host, you're meant to be just so relaxed, and you don't care when inside you know their life is falling apart.
Because we had it all arranged so you would get a picture of that sweep hand still working, as it did perfectly during numerous rehearsals here tonight, I assure you. I know because I have stood in water at least 6 times this evening, and the watch has functioned perfectly each time.
Thank goodness most people in this country have never been asked to do a live commercial.
And it's something that only Timex, with that exclusive V-conic movement, could do. Could take such a licking and keep on ticking like no other watch built.
And I reckon even if he had been fiddling with that propeller and it started up again, he could have had his hand being sawn off and going, oh, that stings a little bit, but I can tell you, you can take a licking and keep on ticking. He should have added, but the strap is crap.